Hi students, you are again with Assistant Professor Farzana Nada from Abida Inamda Senior College BCA Science Department, and we are learning C++ programming. So let's continue with our C++ tutorial, and today we will start with unit 5, which is inheritance. Okay, so as we all know, inheritance is one of the most important features of object oriented programming. This we have discussed in our second video. Okay, so you, if you have not seen that video, you can go back and watch the second video of C++ tutorials. Okay, now what is inheritance? Inheritance means inheriting the properties. Inheriting the properties. Okay, as a child can inherit properties from the parent. Okay, so same like that, if you have a class and you can derive one more class from an existing class. Okay, so when you are deriving a class from an existing class, that process is called as what? Inheritance. Okay, so deriving the properties or the characteristics from another class is called as what? Inheritance. Okay, now the class from where you are deriving the new class, okay, that class is called as parent class, or you can say that base class. Okay, and the new class which we are deriving from the existing class, that new class is called as derived class. Okay, or a child class. So you need to remember the concept of parent and child. Okay, so base class is called as the parent class, from which is your existing class. Okay, and when you derive a new class from an existing class, that new class is your child class, or you can say that it is the derived class. Okay, so when you derive a class from an existing class, that derived class can access all the properties of the base class. Okay, can inherit the properties or the characteristics of the base class, as you are inheriting the properties or characteristics. Okay, you have some properties or some characteristics from your parents. Okay, so you have inherited that properties from the parent. In the same way, a class can also inherit the properties from the parent class, base class. Okay, okay, now why and when to use inheritance? Clear? Okay, so consider one example. You have a group of vehicles. Okay, so I have taken here bus, car, and truck. These are the vehicles, and the methods or the functions which we use in this classes are fuel amount and capacity and apply brakes. These are the methods which we require for this classes. Okay, so if we don't use inheritance, okay, if we avoid inheritance, what we can do? We can create three different classes: bus, car, and truck. Correct? And in this three different classes, we have to write the functions individually. Okay, so each class will contain all three functions. Correct? So this is what? This is the repetition. Correct? So to avoid this type of situation, what we can do? We can use inheritance. So in inheritance, we can create one base class, that is the vehicle class. Okay, and we can derive three classes from this vehicle class, that is the bus, car, and truck. Correct? And in this vehicle class, in this base class, we can write all these three functions. So other three classes which are derived from the vehicle class, that is the bus, car, and truck, they can also inherit the properties, inherit the functions which are defined in the vehicle class. Okay, so this will reduce the time, and it increases the reusability. Okay, this is the main advantage of the inheritance. Okay, so simply we are avoiding the duplication of data. Okay, in the previous situation, what we were doing, we were writing the functions in each class individually. Correct? So this is the repetition of data, and when you use inheritance, you are avoiding the repetition of data, and you are reusing the same data. Okay, so it increases the reusability. So in this way, if you are using inheritance, this way we can create the class. So we have vehicle class, this is the parent class with all three methods, and we are deriving three different classes from this parent class. Okay, bus, car, and truck, and these three classes will reuse this function or will inherit these functions in their own classes. Understood? So this is about the basic concept of inheritance. Okay, now how to define the class or the derived class. Okay, so here is the syntax for defining the derived class. What is the syntax? Class name, you have to use colon. Okay, and access specifiers. So we have seen access specifiers public, private and protected. So you can use any one of them, and then the class base class name. Okay, so in this case, in the above case, what we will write, let's say class bus, so I will write here class bus. Okay, class name is bus, colon, here we will provide the access specifier, let's say public, and base class name, base class is vehicle. Okay, so here we are indicating that this class is derived from this class. Clear? And then you can provide the body of the class. Okay, so this is the syntax for creating or defining a derived class. Okay, now next is, there are access specifiers. Yes, three modes of inheritance, three access specifiers are there. First one is the public mode. Okay, so if we derive a subclass from a public base class, okay, then the public members of the base class will become public in the derived class. Yes, and the protected members of the base class will become protected in derived class. Understood? Clear? So if you are using a class, if you are deriving a class from uh, base class, okay, and that base class is public base class, so in that case, what will be the, how the member function will work, how the data members will work, whatever the public data is there, that will be the public and derived class also. And if there is a protected data, that protected data will be protected. Okay, and private data will be private. Okay, this is the public mode. Protected mode is if we derive a subclass from a protected base class, then both public members and the protected members of the base class will become protected, and private will be private only. Okay, both the members, if it is protected, then both public and private, both will become the protected in derived class. Okay, protected in derived class, this is the protected mode. Next one is the private mode. Private means private. Okay, so if we derive a subclass from a private base class, then both public members and the protected members of the base class will become private in the derived class. Clear? So these are three modes for defining the class. Okay, in inheritance. So here I have taken one example. So we have class A. In class A, there is X, data member X, which is public. There is data member Y, which is protected. Okay, and data member Z, which is private. So we have X, Y, and Z, public, protected, and private. Okay, now class B. Class B is inherited from or derived from class A. Okay, first mode is public mode. In public mode, public will be public, protected will be protected, and Z is not accessible because it is private. Okay, private data is not accessible outside the class. Understood? Okay, next is class C. We are deriving class C from class A, and in protected mode. Okay, in protected mode, X is protected, Y is also protected. So in protected, public will become protected and protected will be protected, and private is not accessible. Okay, and private is not accessible from B. Okay, so here I have one more class C. Class C also, so class C we have done. Okay, class D, and it is private, derived from A. Private is the default access specifiers or default for classes. Okay, so if you don't specify any mode here, then it will consider it as private. Clear? Okay, here in this case, X is private, Y is private, and Z is not accessible because Z is private in the base class. Okay, okay, this is about the modes of accessing the data. Okay, or in inheritance. In this table, here I have shown you how the data is accessible in different modes. Okay, so public, if it is public, public will be public, protected will be protected, and private will be not accessible. If it is private inheritance, then protect public and protected, sorry, if it is If it is protected inheritance, then protected will be protected and public will be protected, and private is not accessible. If it is private, public will become private, protected will become private, and private is not accessible. Understood? Okay, so this is about the basic concept of inheritance in C++. Okay, so if you have any doubts, any query, you can ask in the comment box, and in the next lecture, in the next video, I will continue with types of inheritance, and we will see practical demo of program also. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button.